Hey, this is Crystal Nicole, and I'm in the biz with D.
All right, everybody. Thank you for all tuning in to the biz with D right now on My Fierce Wings Radio. And if you guys don't know who I am, I think for about like a little bit over a year now, you guys should kind of a little bit over a year. Like, notice I said that. Should know who I am, David Dwayne. And right now we got Crystal Nicole, who is a phenomenal songstress. I mean, did records with Kalina, Mariah Carey. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, J Lo. I was almost tempted to slip and forget that, but I was like, no, we got to mention that. And she's on the biz with D. How you doing, Crystal?
I am so good. I'm just happy to be talking with you, and be alive and well. All my limbs work. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bedridden. I'm good. I can't complain.
Absolutely, God is good, and we're so glad that you're here with us because, like I was telling you before we got started, we are fans of your work. I mean, Mariah Carey's Touch My Body, the record you did with Kalina, Beyonce, Scared of Lonely.
Wow.
Don't get me started on that joint right there. So it's definitely seriously an honor. So let's talk about how you got started in the industry.
Well, I've been singing since as long as I can remember. I definitely had I wasn't trying to be a songwriter, in other words. I was been singing since probably like 3 years old, and I basically was in a lot of different singing groups growing up in Atlanta. Just, groups that never really made it famous, but, we did talent shows everywhere. Anywhere I could sing, I was somewhere with a microphone trying to sing. And eventually the groups broke up, and I just kind of started writing and expressing my feelings through writing about how I felt about the groups breaking up and just trying to make it in the industry and just hearing so many different things. You can't do it because you're too this and you're not enough of that. You're too big. You're too dark. Your hair's too short or your hair's too long or, it was so many different things that I was told, so many deceptions that were out there, and I just kind of took all that frustration and poured it into writing. And then it just really became an outlet for me. And one thing led to another. I, met this one guy, and he introduced me to another guy, and then, another producer after producer, and here I am. I eventually ended up signing with Jermaine Dupri / EMI Music Publishing as a songwriter in 2007. And from there on, it's just kind of been, I've been extremely blessed, just work. And now I'm finally back where I started as an artist, singing my own songs. So.
And that's perfect. I mean, you mentioned being signed with Jermaine Dupri, So Def, and EMI. How was that run for you?
That was an amazing combination, to be honest, because Jermaine is pretty much the musical mayor in Atlanta. I mean, me being born and raised from Atlanta and wanting to sing, Jermaine Dupri is like the top of the food chain, as a singer here in Atlanta. You're trying to get to Jermaine, So for me to get to him by way of songwriting without even really trying to make that connection, it was an amazing little piece of destiny that was orchestrated there. And then EMI, Big John, or John Platt, he actually took interest in me very early on at EMI, and he was like, hey, why don't we just do the deal together? You're in Atlanta, Jermaine's there, and next thing you know, I got the best of both worlds, to be honest.
That's what's up. I mean, that you got a chance to work with Jermaine Dupri. I mean, he is definitely a legend in music.
Yes, he is. He's definitely that.
I mean, that's amazing. And one of my favorite records that you've written is by Beyonce, Scared of Lonely. And I just kind of want to ask you, when you wrote that record, what was the inspiration? Because I feel like everybody, male, woman, dog, cat, I think any living being can, and I say being because I don't want to or every living thing, but every living being can understand, the message and how, like, something beautiful like this. Where were you, like, when you, at what place were you when you wrote that?
Emotionally, I literally, like, when I write, I have to see things as a picture. I can't just come up with ideas and things like that. I really have to see an entire scene play out, and I write it as I'm seeing it in my mind. And I always pray before I write. So I was just seeing this image of me like fighting air, you know what I mean? Just kind of like just fist up, you know, just full out going against the wind per se. And that's why the verse starts, I'm in this fight, I'm swinging, but my arms are getting tired. And it was just the idea of you're trying to beat up this thing it's not really tangible, something that you can't touch. It's loneliness. And it's just, it's almost a never-ending struggle or fight, you know, and you end up beating yourself trying to overcome it. And at that time, I was in a place of just, you know, feeling like I was in the world by myself, you know what I mean? Like, just the only person here, and I just felt that type of feeling when I was writing that. So I'm very true to my feelings, and I'm very, I empathize with other people's feelings as well. So I try to put myself in the place of a celebrity like a Beyonce, you know, and someone who is just so amazing, but at the same time, she's still human. And I'm sure she has moments of feeling like she's alone in the world, you know what I mean, and just being looked at and judged by everybody. So I just kind of channeled that, and there you go.
And I mean, we can see just from her documentary that, you know, she has her moments where she can, you know, clearly feel that way. And I just think that it's such an awesome thing that you had that placement, because it's like, who can say that they had a Beyonce placement? Everybody can say, okay, I've got a Janet, I've got a. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, you know some names that people can say, but as huge as Beyonce is now and today, it don't matter if the record was 5 years down the line.
Right.
You still getting that check.
It's definitely a huge. It was a big moment in my life because I'm a huge Beyonce fan, and at that point, you know, I mean, when I was younger, I studied Destiny's Child, you know what I mean, especially being in singing groups, and then when all the things that was going on with Destiny's Child and the things that were going on with my little group that nobody even knew about, I definitely connected with Beyonce's place at that time, you know, being in a girls group, you know what I mean, and just trying to make it, and, you know, things just keep happening to seem like everything is against you making it. And so when I finally got the opportunity to actually meet her in the studio, I was so nervous, you know, because I'm like, oh gosh, this is her, you know, and she walked in the door and she was just so welcoming and so warm. And even more so than the song itself, what I cherish more about it is the opportunity to sit in the studio with her day in and day out for, it was probably a couple of weeks, and just be in the presence of her amazingness, for lack of better words, you know, like I cherish that even more than the song itself. So it's definitely an experience I'll never forget.
So I've got to ask you, growing up as a child, who were some of the artists that you just absolutely adored?
Oh my gosh, I have like a gumbo pot of people that I just looked up to and just tried to emulate. Definitely Michael Jackson. You know, he's like the Mecca. I really, when I first heard Whitney Houston sing, that's when I was like, okay, I need to be doing that. Like, whatever that is, I kind of need to be doing that. It was something about her that kind of made me, and she still does it till this day, like just the memory of her. It reminds me of what it feels like to dream and not grow up and understand that, oh, this can't happen or that can't happen, because people try to turn you away from things. And you, as a child, you just dream without boundary. You know what I mean? You have no limitations on what it is you want to be. If you want to be an astronaut, that's what you want to be. And it's not until when you grow up and some adult tells you, oh, you can't go to the moon, like, you can't do that. And then you change everything, and your whole life and perception changes based off of that. But Whitney Houston's impact on me, every time I think of her, it takes me back to being a little girl that just had a dream, and that's all that mattered. I just wanted to do that thing right there that she does with her mouth, like whatever that vocal thing that's coming out. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew that she made me feel some kind of way, and I wanted to be able to make someone else feel that kind of way. Mariah Carey was a huge inspiration on me. She's kind of like, they're kind of like silent vocal coaches of mine. Like, I grew up, just kind of studying them. Like, I wouldn't even have a falsetto if it weren't for Mariah Carey. Like, I wouldn't know what that was. Definitely Brandy. Oh my gosh. Like, woo. Brandy is like, she's like a chordopedia. She's a vocalpedia. She's like the vocal encyclopedia, for all singers.
When you started on Brandy.
Right. Like, you can't even.
I interviewed her for the show and met her a couple weeks ago. Like, oh my God.
And she's so sweet, like, yeah, she's just, I believe she's not human. I think she's something else. Like, and Boyz II Men, I used to be a huge fan of male groups like Boyz II Men, Jodeci, Dru Hill. I studied all of them, and I loved to have the difference in between a female vocal range and a male vocal range and be able to go up and down a scale like that. So, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder. Like I said, it's like a gumbo. Oh, and Celine Dion. I can't forget Celine Dion because she also is not human. Her vocal capabilities are just completely out of this world, and it's people like that have really, really poured into me without them even knowing it, and I have a little bit of their influence in me somewhere, hopefully.
That's what's up. I love it. So you've got this new single out, and it is phenomenal. Son,
you heard it?
Damn. Wait a minute. How could I not have heard it? It's a real question, Crystal.
I'm just glad you like it. I'm glad you ain't got to lie to me.
No, you know what? With your music and like you, like Brandy, Jill Scott, there's a lot of female artists' music who I can honestly say, in today's day and age, there has never been a record that's ever disappointed me. Kalina, for prime example, as well.
Yeah.
Records that never have disappointed me. And this is one of those records where it is definitely timeless, and the energy is so heartfelt when you turn it on. You didn't have to listen to the lyrics yet, but it's felt. It's felt in the moment.
Wow, that means a lot. It really, really does. I take a lot of time and energy when I write and when I sing. Like, it's literally like I do it as if I'll never get to do it again, and because I don't know, you know what I mean? Nothing is promised. So I don't know if, there'll be another song, or if there'll be another day for that matter, or another hour. So I try to take that type of concept and really put everything into what I'm doing. And specifically with Sundown, the record is such a powerful expression of unconditional love, and I'm all about that. And I love it almost has a spiritual undertone to it, and I really, really just love the way it feels. Like you said, when it comes on, I'm happy that you feel what I feel. Like, even if I didn't write it or sing it, I would feel that about that song. You know what I mean? So it's good that it's translated to you without me even realizing it.
Absolutely. And I've got to ask you, when you wrote that song, where were you, like, just emotionally?
Well, where was I emotionally? Wow, when I wrote Sundown, I was actually at a place where I felt like I've been taking things for granted. I felt like I had been taking my blessings, like all the things that I've been able to be a part of, my career, my talent, my life, my everything, my husband. I felt like I had been taking things for granted and just kind of hadn't been appreciative of all the things that God has given me. And I was in a place where I just kind of wanted to express what I would do for that. You know what I mean? Like, how far I would go for God and what He's given me, or for my husband, which He gave me. You know what I mean? So the song, it's really a two-sided, this maybe even three-sided song as far as the intent of it. The intent of it, it may appear on the surface just like a song about a man. I'm singing about some guy that I, just love so much. But it's not just an ordinary man. It's my husband. It's also Jesus. It's also you. It's also my mother. I just, for anyone, I would, I just love people, and I have this unconditional love for for people in general, and that song expresses that in such a good way to where it's not scaring you off. You don't feel like,
right,
oh Lord, you know, we on the pulpit. You know what I mean? It's in such a way that it's acceptable, and it hits you where you are, and whoever you are, and whatever. Like if you have a son, you know what I mean, and that's the person you lay your life down for, then you can sing that song. If you have a dog, and I have 2 dogs, so you know I'm a pet fanatic. If you know, and that's who you lay your life down for, then that's who you can sing the song for. If it's your wife, it's your brother, you know what I mean. It can meet you wherever you are, and that's the beauty about music. It's an interpretive art form. However you interpret it, that's where it belongs to you. So.
Wow. So those words that you said right there, I mean, just empowering.
Wow.
Seriously. And you know what? It's so empowering to the fact that I literally forgot what I was about to say. Like, I just got lost in what you were saying.
Yay.
I have these rare moments when and I'm like, yes, Crystal, yes, so-and-so, yes. Well, I get lost in it. So, you know, anytime I get lost in it, I'm just like, wow. I
that's
forgot
good.
what I was going to say.
If you're going to be lost, let that be the reason.
But you were so right. It's going to come back to me as we flow along. So, what I did want to ask you was, when you write your music, just the inspiration, does it all come from, like, experiences that you've had in your life, or does it sometimes just come from, you know, what you feel that track is saying to you?
That's a really good question. It's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay.
A lot of times it's something that I've gone through, and a lot of times it's something that someone I know or have seen on TV. I watch a lot of movies and documentaries and that kind of stuff, or I listen to people when they talk. That's something that I think is very key for me in my craft. Like if I'm talking to you about a situation you went through, I'm really listening to you. Like it's not just you just venting to me and you getting it off your chest. Like I'm not only am I listening to you, I'm putting myself where you were. I'm trying my best to paint a picture in my mind of how you must have felt when this happened to you, or you know, if you're the victor and you know, if somebody did something to you, whether you're the victim or not, you know what I mean? I try to see how it feels. When I watch movies, I try to see what it feels like to be the character in the movie instead of just being entertained and watching the movie. So with that being said, I come from a place of self and also everyone else around. I'm almost like a sponge when it comes to feelings and emotions. So I soak all of that up, and then when I hear the track speaks to me either based off of one experience or the other, whether it's something that I went through or you or someone in a grocery store I heard. So the track I allow it to tell me which one to go off of today. Am I going off of Crystal Nicole experiences today or Dee's experience today? You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes there is no track. You know, a lot of times I'll write something and it's just you know, pure inspiration, and I'm just jotting down words and things like that. And when there is no music, it's almost like there is music, because I still allow whatever the tone of the day is to direct me in where I'm going. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of three-sided.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? I think that with writing, and as an artist, because I'm an artist as well, and I write, I think I'm a better writer than I am a singer, and I can't believe I'm saying that on air, but you know what? It's true. Anyhow, my point being, with that being said, you have to, you know, it has to be three-sided. It's got to be two-sided. You even got to write versions where you've got the male version, you've got the female version, you've got this, you know, I hate to sound crazy, like this sexy in-between version. And people are just like, whoa, you know, you kind of swag
it's
down
come from different places.
Shit.
Yeah. I think writing, and you just, by you saying that, it just kind of enlightened something for me. I think writing is a very selfless, writing at its best is a very selfless experience, because you have to kind of put aside you sometimes and tell it from another perspective. I wrote this song one time that it's not even out. I don't know if it'll ever come out, but it's from the view of a woman taking another woman's man and tearing up a household. And I felt like I felt like people always write a song based off of you did this to me, you're wrong, or they did this to me, they're wrong. And no one ever hears a villain speak, you know what I mean? And how, you know, whoever a villain is in your life, whatever somebody did to you, what they may actually be going through, and if they're sorry, you know what I mean? If they feel bad about it, if they don't feel bad about it, if they felt like they can control it or not. So I kind of wanted to dive into another side. Not that I've ever done anything like that in my entire life, but I had to step outside of me and step into the shoes of someone else. It's almost like acting, to be honest. Yeah, it's very close to acting. So it's really cool.
So I've got to also ask you about the therapeutic feeling of music, just overall. When you hear music, describe that therapeutic feeling for you, because, I mean, everybody gets a different feeling when they hear music, especially like if it's a ballad and it's like, let's say, produced by Brian Michael Cox. I might bug out, but you might want to grab a glass of wine and be like, it might just lean a little bit. So for you, when it comes to just hearing different styles of music, or maybe just particularly R&B, what's the therapeutic feeling for you like?
Wow, I think that's a good one. For me, I think that music is such a powerful force. Like, for instance, you can hear a song and it can remind you of a smell or a taste or a touch, or it affects your senses in such a way and takes you to different places. It may be somewhere when you were a child. You may hear a song. Funny story, me and my husband last night, we were watching 227, and I forgot that I was that old, first of all, that I even remember. Like, it was I was like, dang, we sitting here singing the words, like, to the show. Like, I forgot for a minute. I was like, wow, babe, we kind of up there, you know what I mean? We singing 227 theme song. What's up with that? But I remember my mom watching that show, and just singing that theme song, just sitting there with my husband. It took me back to being a kid sitting on the sofa with my mom and my dad and my sister, which I haven't done in years. And just that little bitty theme song, whether I thought about it since then or not, just flipping the channel, hearing that, took me back to a time in my life that I hadn't been to or haven't been able to go back to in years, you know what I mean? And it took me back to the smell of the couch. It took me back to, you know, I visualized what the living room looked like at that time, you know, what the TV was like, you know what I mean? And it's such a powerful force. There are songs that, you know, you sing with a loved one that passed away, or a best friend, you know, that you got in an argument with, or whatever the case may be. And when you hear the music, it influences you in such a way and takes you back there. Someone that I respect a lot, Montel Jordan, actually said that music is a weapon. You know, it can either be, you know, good or bad. And I think that it's such a powerful tool, and the people who possess it, like you and I, people who can create music, we have such a powerful responsibility that it can change the world. Like, I literally think music can change the world, good or bad. And that's something that I've always thought. Michael Jackson quoted that once before, that, you know, music can literally change the world. It depends on what you decide to do with it.
Absolutely. I just had to ask you that question, because, I mean, I've never gotten in depth in an interview with, like, be like, you know, let me pick somebody's brain a little bit, because I want to know if somebody's thoughts when it comes to music are the same way my thoughts are, you know, because you talk to people different day, you meet different producers, but you want to kind of sometimes get inside their world and be like, you know, I want to know what you're thinking, you know?
Right.
So I had to ask you those questions.
Well, yeah, I'm all, you know, I'm in the pickable brain. If you want to pick somebody's brain, I'm no stranger to that. You can pick away, and I'm always truthful and just flat out honest to what I feel and what I think. So I appreciate you asking me that.
Anytime. So I've got to ask you, what kind of project are you working on right now?
You know, I haven't made up my own little genre of music. It's funny because, like, I have no home when it comes to genres of music that exist right now. I really don't have a home. And when you listen to Sundown, you kind of feel that, because someone told me it sounded country. Someone told me it sounded like hip-hop. Someone was like, yo, I felt like you was in the church, then you went straight 2 Chainz on me in the verse. And, like, then somebody else was like, it feels like, you real like Nashville on me with the guitar, and then but the song, like the lyrical content, it feels like spiritual, so I don't really have a home when it comes to where I am musically. I've just made up a new category. I call it heart music. And because I'm just absolutely singing and writing what's on my heart. And wherever that falls at the time, I can't really control that. And I'm not trying to be in a certain category. I'm not like trying to do country music. I'm not trying to do R&B music. I'm not trying to do gospel music. I'm not trying to do hip-hop music. I'm just doing the music that's in my heart, that's inside of me. And however that comes out, it just kind of, it's going to have to fall where it may. My album is absolutely my audio biography. You know what I mean? It's me at its purest form, and I'm kind of just trying to stick to that and be truthful with that. You know what I mean? So that, how like some artists, they be like, well, I got to be another person, and I want to create music that speaks to this, but I really don't like that. No, like what do you hear me sing is absolutely me. If you hear the album, you're gonna feel like you know me as a person. This ain't a a character per se. This is absolutely Crystal Nicole.
Right. And I feel like just talking to you right now, I feel like I've known you for some time, because it's just
don't
like,
you know?
Because I don't know. I don't know if it's just like this musical connection that makes it feel that way, but we're just having a real.
Yeah, I almost forgot we was having an interview.
It don't seem like it at all. And you know what? I love when I have these interviews and it doesn't feel like that, because sometimes I don't want it to feel that way. I really just want to be like, chill, talk about the great things about music and what projects you're working on, what projects I'm working on. And you appreciate these moments because there's so many interviews, and I hate to put any interviewers on blast or anything, but you'll notice in a lot of interviews, people aren't doing it like this in a way. It's just like so impersonal. So I mean, I do it too, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I know, and trust me, like I have this thing that I just kind of want to be me, and I just want to talk to you. Like I don't, it doesn't matter what show you're doing at the time. I'm just talking to D. Like I don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all that matters to me. And I don't like to be impersonal. I don't like to give answers that sound politically correct, or say something that I shouldn't. If I say something that probably ain't the best thing to say, I just at the moment, you got the truth out of me at that moment. So you know what I mean? It's just, hopefully you appreciated it and it's cool. And the same thing with you. I just I want to have a personal encounter, and I love that about this type of interview.
Absolutely. So with the album, can we expect any collaborations, any major productions from anybody?
You know what? I don't necessarily feel the urge to have any major outside collaborations. I mean, I work with a lot of great producers.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as artists, I don't feel that urge right now. I'm not sure where I'll be, a month from now, 2 weeks from now. But at this moment, I don't feel that urge. I just kind of feel like I want to give you me, so that you know who that is, and you can decide whether you want to rock with that person or not. Versus me trying to give you me and so-and-so, and if you like so-and-so, come rock with me too, because we're two completely different people, whoever so-and-so is, you know what I mean? And
right.
I think that back in the past, people used to put out albums and just be them, and you could kind of decipher whether or not you like this artist or not based off of who they got on the hook or who they got spitting at the end of the record, you know what I mean? I just kind of want to give you me and let you make that decision, and then later on, maybe, there'll be some kind of a collaboration or something. But I do like to tell people that God is my co-writer. Other than that, I don't have no collaborations.
I know that's right. I know that's right, because God definitely puts that feeling or that song inspiration or that lyric in your head for a reason. Like some people are like, well, I don't even know where it came from. That's God.
Right.
Putting it there for you. So it's really funny that you mentioned that, because I was kind of thinking about that a little bit. I'm like, where does this idea exactly come from? And then I was like, let me dig a little deeper, because You just got to. But that's great. I mean, I'm looking forward so much to the album. Have you decided, like, on a date or, like, which quarter it would be out yet?
I haven't made any of those major life decisions just yet. I'm kind of just